So let's continue exploring the HTML5 Canvas. We're going to look at the arc function, which lets us draw parts of a circle. Okay, so if you look here, you can see the basic syntax for the arc command. We specify a center point, X and Y, the radius, a starting angle, an ending angle, excuse me, and counterclockwise, which is a Boolean, true or false. Real quickly here, I want to show you, I found this in Safari Online in the HTML5 Canvas cookbook. This shows you how the angles work. So this is the 0 angle here, and then you can see this is 3 pi over 2, pi over 2, and all the way around should be 2 pi. Let's see, why is that pi over 2? I don't get that. Anyhow, that's clockwise. What's interesting about this is I'm pretty sure in the other systems I've seen the 0 is always north here, but here in this system 0 is in the east. So basically this is in radians. 2 pi radians is one circle. And if you do more than that, it'll circle around again. Later on in this book they show how to draw a spiral, taking advantage of that. So I thought you might like to see that here. Alright, let's get back to our code. And I'm using the same test framework that I had before. Again, I've got total lines set to 100. We're going to begin the path. We set our line worth randomly like we had before. We set our color randomly like we did before. I'm going to do a random radius, and you can see that this is going to be up to 1/8 of a circle, 1/8 pi. So again, if 2 pi is an entire circle, then 1/8 pi should be a quarter circle or a half circle. Let me think about that a second. Yeah, it seems like it should be a quarter circle, but I'm getting a half. We'll play with this here and see. So here's the arc command in my loop. And again, I randomize the center point of the arc. So I get the random x and y in terms of the width and the height of the canvas. And here's the radius. And then we're starting at 0 and drawing to, let's see. Oh, you know what? I made a mistake there. So the radius is actually 1/8, up to 1/8 of the canvas width. Let's change that while we're here. Let's make that 4, which means we'll get bigger radii. And then the 10 on there is just so we get something that's visible. In case that zeroes out, we want to have a radius of at least 10. So here's the part that controls how much of the circle you're drawing. And again, that starts at 0, which should be in the east. And then it goes to pi. The reason I have that set up as math.pi times 1 is then I can change that. So for instance, we do 2 pi, we should get a complete circle. So we're going to try all this stuff. Again, the stroke is what actually draws the arc. Alright, let's test this out with just these settings right now. I'm going to use Firefox for that, although I've tested it, it works fine in Chrome and IE as well. So here you can see that all the arcs, despite being in different radii, are exactly half a circle, which is 1 pi. Okay? Let's go ahead and change that value first. Go back to our code. Should have left that open in the browser probably. Cruise over here. Now if I set this to 2 pi, I should get a complete circle. Well, let's run it again. And yeah, now we're getting complete circles. Okay? Alright. What else do we have in here that we might want to play with? Let's go ahead and set that back, and how about 1.5, which will give me a 3/4 circle. And then I wanted to show you something. Let's see here. Yeah, I wanted to experiment with this. Now I don't know what's going to happen when we do this, because I have the code in there from the previous example, that draws a line. And let's see, if I've got this right, these won't be connected if I understand how this works. Because in a minute I'll show you how the arcTo works. Okay? So let's go ahead and uncomment this. So now it's going to draw a random line. I have to add the other part in there too. So basically it's just moving to a point. So I'm just going to copy this real quickly and then make that a line too. So what that'll do is that'll draw a random line, and then it should draw a random arc. And those shouldn't be connected if I understand this correctly. So here we go, drum roll please. Yeah, it looks, oh no, they are connected actually. Let me look at my code again here. Alright, we got too many too, so we can't see what's going on, so we'll change that. So let's go up here to the top, make this 10. We'll run it right away. Save it. Index. Preview in Firefox. Okay, so we've got, it looks like, yeah, it just continues. So it actually starts where the arc left off. I'm kind of surprised at that because it should be drawing an arc randomly on the screen. Let me look at that again here. I might have the wrong command in there. No, I've got it. So let's look up here. I'm very surprised that it's working that way. They shouldn't be connected. Oh, I know what's going on. Let's look again at that. Here, I should leave the Firefox open. Alright, let me show you what's going on. So our command basically draws a single line, and then it randomly draws the arc. And when the arc starts, because we're doing a path, it draws from the last point of the line. So you see how we're getting two lines in there even though we only are drawing one? Because it's drawing it as a complete path, it's adding this line here that goes from the end of the line that we drew to the beginning of the arc. And so I think the way to fix that would be to go ahead and put a closed path in there. So let's just go ahead and do that. This is one of the tricky things about the library, so it's kind of nice that we're working through this on the video so you'll kind of see how this works. Okay, so again, the problem here, in fact, I think all I have to do is add a stroke command in here. That should draw the line and then not continue it. We'll see, we'll try that. Otherwise, I'll have to use the close path command. So let's try that. So see, now I'm stroking, and then it'll be interesting to see. I guess it'll probably remember the graphics style stuff from the previous one. I hope it does. We'll see. Alright, preview in Firefox. Looks like we're still getting the same thing here. Alright. Yeah, definitely, again. So it draws the line, and then it adds the extra line in there. So that did not change the issue. So let's go back here, and we'll put the closed path in instead. So let's see, how does that work? Do I have that in here anywhere? Begin path, G2 closed path, I think it is. Well, I'm going to work one thing at a time and see. I don't know if I have to now begin a path or not. So let's go back to Dreamweaver. I remember to leave it open this time. No, it's still drawing the connected lines. Okay. Alright, so that means we have to create a new path. So, and that probably means we're going to have to draw this one. So G2 stroke to draw the first path, which we just closed, and then G2. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Close actually draws an extra line. Oh, that's weird. Okay, I got it. So we don't want to close the path. We want to stroke it, and then we want to open a new path. Or begin a path, sorry, that's what it is, begin path. You can see how this gets kind of complex when you start doing multiple drawing operations. That's kind of an issue here with this. So you can see that I'm struggling a little bit to get it to work the way I want it to. Alright, let's see now what we get. Reload. There we go. So now you can see that it does the drawing separately, because that's a path, and then it goes ahead and draws the arc as a separate path. So that's kind of tricky. Let's go look at the code one more time on that just to make sure we got it. So again, we start by beginning a path. We set all this graphics stuff. We draw it, and then we begin a new path, and that's what separates them. Otherwise, it tends to kind of chain things together. And in particular, if you do the close path, it will draw from the last point to the beginning point. And so before, when I had the close path in here, that's why it was doing that. Okay? Alright, so again, let's go ahead. I think we're playing with the arc. Have I shown you enough with that? I believe so. That's pretty good for the arc. So let's go ahead and look at the arcTo. And I'm going to go ahead and save all this stuff here. Save all, close all, and then I'm going to go ahead and open my arcTo example. So there's another command which is designed to add the arc onto the line you're drawing. That's called arcTo. And if you see here, looks like I don't have that in here. Let me just get rid of that. That's for arc. And I'm pretty sure I can find that real quickly. Right up here, let's see. So yeah, it's right there. So let me just copy that. This is the HTML5 cookbook. I'm got it open in Safari Books Online, and I recommend that you take a look at that if you want to really get into this. It's got a lot of cool stuff in it. Alright, let's paste this in so we'll have a reference. So notice the way this one works. It takes a control point, X and Y, and then the ending point and the radius. So the beginning point is implied, so it's going to go from wherever you left off and draw a radius, and it's going to be influenced by a control point. Later on, when we look at the quadratic and cubic curves, you'll see that those use control points to shape the curve. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. This is again very similar to what we've done before. I have a random width, random color. I've got the line cap set to round. I still haven't looked up to see how you fix the way the lines meet. The line, there's a set of primitives for that too, just like in the Java. Okay, so here's the arcTo. And so you can see what we're doing right now is we move to a random point. Then we randomize the control point, which is the first X and Y value here. And then we randomize the end point. So it's going to curve from this starting point to the end point. And it's going to use this radius. But it'll be distorted by the control point there. Alright, let me make sure I have radius in the loop. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so let's see what happens when we run this. And I'm going to have to actually close Firefox because that's the other version. So I'll go ahead and launch it new. And I'll try and remember to leave it open. Oops, thought I had saved everything. Alright, so there you can see. So now... oh, wait a minute. That is not what I was expecting here. So let's see what's going on. Move to Let's see. So we begin a path. We move to a point, which is going to be the starting point, and from there we arcTo. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's doing this correctly. Let's see. So x and y radius. Let me check that. X and y for the control point, x and y for the end point, and the radius. Let's let me look at that again here. Oops, sometimes I lose the mouse on the screen. Okay. Huh. Let's try a little experiment here. I'm sort of thinking maybe the documentation is a bit off, because it doesn't seem like that's actually acting like a control point. I wonder if it'll let me do this. I'm going to just do a quick experiment here. Now that's interesting, because if it likes that, this makes more sense. So there's no control point. Alright, I wonder if this will work. Maybe it won't work. Nope, I can just refresh it. Yeah. Yep, okay, that didn't work. And I'll bet we'll see some issue here with the not enough arguments. Yeah, okay. Interesting. Let's put those back. Yeah, this I don't get. That's kind of weird too, because I thought I had this working before. So it's kind of weird because it's a path. It seems like it just goes ahead and starts here. So if we eliminate this, where we don't have a point, now that doesn't make sense either, because then I wonder if it'll draw it all now, because basically now it doesn't have a beginning point, right? It just has a control point and no beginning point. Alright, so that probably won't work, but we'll try it and see. Maybe starting to think I don't quite get how these work correctly here. Alright, I need to pop over here, source code, launch Firefox new again. Oh, that is working. Okay. And that works just basically like Arc does, doesn't it? Huh, kind of weird. Well, alright, so move to a random point. Let's go ahead and draw a segment. So now we're going to move to a point, we're going to draw a segment, and then from the end of the segment, we're going to add the arc onto the end. Okay, how many? Let's see how many we're drawing here. I kind of like to have more. Let's make it 20. Alright, here we go. Oh, forgot to save. Alright, so now I think we're getting what I expected. So again, now it draws the first line. Let's see. And then, yeah, it's just kind of weird. So I see, okay. So this is kind of similar to what I just showed you with the arc, actually. Let's do something a little different this time. So we'll come in here. So basically what we have is we start a begin point, right here with move to. Then we draw to a random point. Then we arc, and what the arc should do is it should start at the end of this line, but it doesn't. I'm not sure why. And then maybe the control point is what does that. And then we stroke here. Now if I put the stroke and I put an end path in here, then it'll separate them, which is like what we did before with just the regular arc. Let's see here. So you can see what happens. If I comment this line out, I just have a line that goes from my beginning point to wherever the arc begins, and then it ends up with something that looks like a crook. If I enable this, I get a point from here to here, and then I get the point from a line from here to here. Then I get a line from this point, end point, to the beginning of the arc again. Okay. Let's go ahead and draw another line on there, which should get added on to the end of the arc. So if we put another line down in here, let's see what we get now. Okay, go to source code, launch it in Firefox again. Let's see now. Yeah, see here you can see how we have the arc and then we have a line on either end of it. Yeah, there we go. Sort of seems like you're getting an extra line in there though, doesn't it? See, really what I want to draw is something that's shaped like this, where it starts here and goes like that. Let's try one more time. But basically I've shown you arc and arcTo pretty well here. You can see what to play to get the kind of precision you want. You're going to have to play around with it to really get good with it. Alright, so let's see now. I've got the move to. Okay, so I want to limit the line to here again. Alright, you know what they say, fifth time is the charm, right? Ah, there we go. So now it comes through, then it arcs, then it draws the other line. So that's kind of what I was looking at, and you can start to see how we can join these together. Now if I want, I can make this into a path. If I put the closed path in, it'll draw the final segment between the starting point and the end point. So let's do that. Excuse me. And let's see, I think the way that works is you close the path and then you stroke. Funny, I just did that a minute ago in the video and I forgot already, so I might get this wrong and have to rearrange them. But yeah, okay, so close path. So the idea is you kind of define the path and then you draw it with stroke. I'm pretty sure this is right. So here we can just refresh. Oops. And yeah, now we have closed figures, you can see. And it's kind of neat. So those are kind of cool figures we got. Basically, one of the segments is drawn initially, and then the other is drawn by the close function. It just draws from the start point to the end of the last point. So it's kind of cool. Now I didn't put any constraints on these. They're totally random, and that's why we're getting some figures that overlap one another and stuff like that. Alright, I think that's a pretty good amount for a video. Let's go ahead and save this. I can find my video controls here.